Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a little video for you today, and I'm going to focus on Secret Police Rosie Rodriquez. Uh, she seems to be a main player, and so there's a whole bunch of evidence, a lot of information. I started with just this timeline of time-stamped evidence here, and basically this comes from the security camera pictures and from the police reports. And so there's starting with January 28, 2012. That was the day that I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. 10:42 that night, I'm seen crawling out. I've showed that video many times. 19 minutes later, Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and the late Midland County Deputy Sheriff Mike Naylor are seen arriving without being dispatched. Took 6 years to get them identified. Okay, and then three minutes later, Lieutenant Dickey, per the police report, is time stamped as being inside my home. Of course, that police report I didn't get for 7 years because it was illegally withheld because it was a smoking gun, had incriminating evidence on it. But anyway, it put Dickey inside my home, and he was not seen arriving. That's real important. And then also, it time stamped Davis, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale officers, Davis, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale, at my home, and they were not seen arriving as well. I just did a movie about that called Irrefutable Evidence, and so obviously they came in from the tunnel that was coming from the Home Depot store towards my house. Okay, 11:22. Okay, the front cameras on my house are disabled, and that's how we knew them other officers were not seen arriving. Woodward and Naylor were seen. These other officers are at my home and inside my home, and they're not seen. And that's how I know they came in from the now removed trap door the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where I was ambushed and shot from. And then so we're going on 2:02 that night a.m. My daughter sends Rosie the first email, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. That's important. And then at 2:14, Jennifer sends Rosie the second email. Okay, and the reason I'm putting them in there because this whole video is about Secret Police Rosie Rodriquez. Okay, at 3:15 in the morning, the inside camera is computers rebooted. It is an attempt to disable the camera. That's what it started it. The police didn't know it, and that's what caught them on camera. That's what messed them up. I made videos about that. I've got the Secret Police pictures from 3:36 in the morning to 3:55 in the morning, and in one of them pictures, I'm going to show you here in a minute, Rosie Rodriquez is leaned over my nightstand where my stolen cell phone was planted. I believe she was planting it. And then 3 days later, on February 1st, 2012, was the second entry to my house from 10:04 in the morning to 10:58. And I'm going to show you some evidence on that on the consent to search form. And there's pictures on it, but I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. But basically, that second entry was supposed to be the only known entry. The first entry, they were hiding the police report, and they were staging the crime scene of the murder attempt. And then they were coming in the second time going, "Oh, he's crazy," and pretending they hadn't been in there, but they'd accidentally started the camera. So anyway, that gets us started on the time-stamped evidence, okay? And so there is can be no argument about that. This is real interesting. I showed this on Facebook, but I don't think I showed it on YouTube. And what it is my original flyer for offering a reward to identify the secret police. Okay, because what happened was I got home from the hospital. I found pictures of police on my security cameras, which is expected. But then when I ordered the police report, I didn't get a police report showing any police in my home. Okay, I did get some police reports. I got this one here for the 29th, okay, but none for the 28th on the night I was shot, okay, and so this one didn't show any police in my home, and these pictures are from the 29th, okay, because I shot at 10:42, but they were in my house. It was actually January 29th. That's when this police report. So the police report I had didn't show these police in my home. That was the point. And I sent them pictures to the sheriff and the chief of police, attorney general, and the mayor and the city council. Nobody would identify them. I nicknamed them the secret police, and I offered a reward. I originally offered $100 reward. It was actually almost a joke because it was absurdity. Never heard of. Nobody's ever in the history of America ever offered a reward to identify police. That's how absurd the corruption is, literally. But I ended up raising that reward to $2,000, okay? And them secret police were secret for 6 years before they got identified by a private investigator. And so you can see this one says secret police been identified. This is in 2018. I'm shot in 2012. So they were secret for 6 years. I'm making videos, posting about it, and all this. Private investigator finally collected the reward money. First time in the history of America, crime victim offered a reward, not a single news story in the nation. This here on this side is actually text messages from that private investigator as he was sending me the names of them. But the two people that we could recognize was Rosie Rodriguez, okay, and April Chandler. There she is, April Chandler, because their faces were real clear and they were two women. And so we already knew that Rosie and April were two of the 11 secret police, okay, but we didn't know who the other ones were, okay. But then when I get the names, it was Tony Dickey, Greg Chatwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, a crime scene investigator, Chad Simpson, he's the guy that murdered his wife and killed himself. Mike Naylor died line of duty 2 months before Chad died. Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, and John Woodward, sheriff from a whole nother county. He's the first one to show up in my house. I mean, this thing is just absurdity is what it is. And Tony Dickey was lieutenant. He was the one in my house not seen arriving. Okay, so those were the secret police. We're focusing on secret police Rosie Rodriguez. Okay. Here, I want to show you here, I've created this spreadsheet. Basically, these are the names that were identified by the private investigator in 2018, okay? And I already called them out there, and you see Rosie at the top, okay? And what I found out in 2019, there was a police report all along, but I didn't know about it. And I didn't get it till 2019. I didn't get the police report for the night of the murder attempt until 7 years later. And it had been subpoenaed, okay? They illegally, in violation of the law, the court order, withheld it because it had incriminating evidence on it. Okay. And then when I get the police report, what I'm seeing is 6 names are missing, okay, from the police report. People that are seen and identified by the private investigator are not on report. They had falsified the crap out of that police report. But the big thing, as I said, it time-stamped 5 police officers enter at my home and they wasn't seen arriving, and so now you know why they, why they withheld that police report. And then this is the second entry 3 days later. And what I want to show you, look at Rosie Rodriguez. Rosie Rodriguez, she's a main player, okay? She's the only one there that is on all of them, okay? This is a recorded from my scanner, and we're going to listen to Rosie Rodriguez talk to then Chief of Police Price Robinson. This is going to be real interesting.
14, that'll be no, because what I don't know won't hurt me.
I recorded that one day, and now, of course, there ain't no way to know, what they were talking about. What we know is the chief of police says, what I don't know won't hurt me. And Rosie Rodriguez says, sounds good to me, chief. What you don't know won't hurt you. I think they're talking about the premeditated capital murder attempt on my life, but I don't know that. But anyway, there, now you get to hear Rosie's voice. Okay. As I said, in 2 years after the murder attempt, I got filed with that absurd protective order from the ex-wife. I hadn't seen her, talked to her in 1.5 years, and she lived 100 miles away. Okay, and so a lot of information come out of that, and we're going to see some of that. And my attorney subpoenaed all police records. That's when they withheld the police report. But what I got when I got them records was I saw that my daughter had been emailing, my oldest daughter, Jennifer, had been emailing Rosie Rodriguez right after I was shot. And still not been no answers. Jennifer didn't talk to me. So, obviously they knew each other in advance. So, I don't know how. I've never got any answers to that. I just know that I got this because the records were subpoenaed, and I found out that my daughter was emailing Rosie Rodriguez. And so we're gonna look at them. I will say I did a Facebook post about my daughter yesterday, and the ex-wife had told me that she had been raped, and I believe it was by people in this gang. And Jennifer Jennifer denies that, but the way the ex told me, I believed it. She said, you would have been proud of her. She fought back hard. And I've suspected that my daughter has been threatened by these dangerous criminals, I mean, and so, I'm estranged from her and a lot of my family. But I want to show you the emails that got sent to Rosie at here. This one's at 2:14 a.m. And I had sent it almost a year before, January 15, 2011, to family and friends. And I said, in case some accident happens to me, or in case something happens to me, it's not it's not an accident, and that was the whole thing. And then Jennifer sends that to Rosie, that I had told my family a year in advance, if something happens to me, it's not an accident. And it was Rosie Rodriguez that actually closed my case and ruled it an accident, I mean, amazingly enough. This was the second email that was sent, that Rosie got from my daughter that night. This was at 2:02 a.m. Okay, I called that at 10:42. And it started about 12 hours earlier. I emailed my sister-in-law, Mitzi Webb, over in Hobbs, my brother's wife, and I was telling her that I figured out, I was lied to about my mom's death the month before, okay? And I told her that, and that was on December 7th, that of course, I didn't suspect anybody in my family. I did suspect these people in Midland that were breaking into my home might have something to do with it, okay? And then I didn't know this, but until I got these emails, but Mitzi had forwarded that email to Jennifer about 12 minutes after I was seen crawling out that night, and then Jennifer, for whatever reason, forwards this email to Rosie Rodriguez at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and here I'm shot at 10 o'clock. And, and Jennifer says, I forgot to mention he has filed some paperwork with the Midland FBI office. She's talking about me regarding what he believes is happening at his house. He also asked News West 9 to air a story on the things happening at his house. They in turn asked him to provide proof. He also does not like or trust the Midland Police Department. He believes there's a prostitution ring in his neighborhood. He has accused one of his neighbors face to face as being the head of it. That's not true. And he believes that the police are part of it. That is true. He has made a comment that the police could harm him because he knows they are involved in the ring. That's very possible. He made this comment when the police were at his house last. Okay. This is what Jennifer was writing to Rosie, just right after I was ambushed and shot. And it was just a mystery. Jennifer later told me that she was in Andrews on the night I shot, and she lived in Hobbs. She was at her mom's house in Andrews, and that was odd. But still unanswered questions about my daughter. As I said, I think she's been threatened by people here, and I was told she's being raped. That's very personal to me. I believe it. I believe that to be true. Okay, I'm going to show you some pictures. Okay, of Rosie Rodriguez, Secret Police Rosie Rodriguez. This is one of the important ones here. Now remember, they tried to disable the camera, accidentally started it. This is what caught them. Okay. And this picture right here, I focus on because it shows Rosie leaned over my nightstand, okay? And that's where my stolen cell phone was planted. Before I'm shot, my cell phone was stolen. My home phone lines were disconnected. And when I shot, all of a sudden fall to the ground, I had no communications. I had the cordless phone in my pocket, and I tried to use it, and then it was dead. And that's what forced me to crawl out. The people that shot me planned on me bleeding out and dying. Okay, I mean, that was going to be the plan. They're going to rule it an accident, whatever. But then here, I'm in the hospital at this time. I'm in surgery around this time. Rosie is leaned over the nightstand where my stolen cell phone was planted behind this. I believe she was planting it behind this nightstand. April Chandler standing next to her. The other thing with the group of pictures, there was a lot of police in my room earlier, but it looked like they waited till all the other police left the room, and then they went and planted that cell phone. And then the other piece of evidence that backs that up was I found on the police report, Rosie Rodriguez stated that I told her my phone was not charged. That's why I crawled outside. That is just a bold-faced lie. My cordless phone that was in my pocket was fully charged because it sat on the charger all the time. The only reason I had my cordless phone is because my cell phone was stolen. She made up that lie because she knew they had stolen my phone. And she, as far as I'm concerned, she's planting my stolen phone right now behind that nightstand. And here's another picture of her just a few seconds later to show you. And and there she is right there. I made a point of her holding that camera, and it was way 6 months later. She once she figured out she got busted on camera, because they were hiding the police report. Nobody was supposed to know they were in my house right here. And then so she submitted them pictures I've never seen. That's only some of the secret police pictures. Okay. Now, these pictures, okay, are from the second entry from February 1st, okay? Remember, there's 2 entries. The first time, they're in here staging the crime scene, planting evidence, and hiding the police report so nobody knows they were in my house. And then they come in the second time like it was the first time they come to my house. We went to Buddy to start the investigation, right? And it was just all a bold-faced lie. It was a con job, is what it was. But they didn't know the camera was going either time. Camera was still going on the second time. And what I'm pointing out here's Rosie. She's up here. That's the security monitor, and that's showing outside about where the backyard is and where the Home Depot and all that is, and so I'm thinking she's telling the people in the room, yeah, right here, this is where we sell the kids to the truckers out here in this trucking lane right here, or this is where the entrance to the house is, and this is how we get in and murder people. Or maybe she's going, this is where Davis, Dickie, Chatwell, and Angel, and Hale come in to Buddy's house without being seen on camera. I don't know what she's saying, but I know she's pointing out on the security camera. And then here she is. And this guy, I think, was the one that come up to the hospital, because both of them, Rosie and this guy, or a guy with her, come up to the hospital that morning on February 1st and asked me to sign a consent to search form. And I think that's the guy right there. I don't know his name, but I think that's the guy that was with her. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. And this is a more recent picture I've seen. As far as I know, she's still a police officer. So there's current secret police, and after all these lies she told, got caught, busted, she's still a police officer. Okay, now I'm going to go over some of the many lies that she told. Okay, and this is just your proof on it. Okay, here's Detective Rosie Rodriguez. She states Buddy did not have a right heel. But the emergency room doctor had a whole different story, Oh, I'll be darned, I guess she didn't plan on that happening, And it says I had a through and through gunshot wound, which appears to be sustained by a shotgun blast. That was from my brother-in-law. I didn't know it was my brother-in-law, but they come to find out the ER doctor was, my brother-in-law of the ex-wife that I didn't know about. That was really important because that's what I said too. I had 2 small holes in my foot, but here Rosie says is my heel's gone. And that was a lie. My heel got cut off in surgery. Okay, and there's a whole story on the medical crime. But I just want to show you that her story don't match up with the ER doctor. And this doctor was right. I had it through and through. But the other thing I point out in this doctor's statement, he says it appears to be sustained by a shotgun blast. Real interesting wording, because I was shot with a 45 loaded with a Glazer safety slug, plastic tip, pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun. And that way they could rule my murder an accident and get that extra $500,000. Okay. Let's go on. I did a recent video about this, and I named it Detective Rosie Rodriguez versus ER Nurse Cresswell, okay? And basically, I took her statements, okay, and then I compared them to the nurse's statements. And once again, Rosie Rodriguez got messed up because the nurse was documenting what I was saying. Otherwise, it was going to be my word against a whole bunch of cops that were all lying. And that's what was going to happen, right? But the nurse documented what I'm saying. It backed up, it verified that what I was saying was the truth. And here's Rosie Rodriguez says, I contacted Buddy in the ER. He stated he lives here. He was locking up for the night. We make sure all his doors and windows are locked before he goes to bed. And he knocked over a gun and shot himself, and his phone wasn't charged, etc. Okay, that's what she says. That I was going to bed, knocked over my gun. I was locking up for the night. Okay, but the ER nurse says a whole different story. When I'm going, sirens are going off, the alarms are going off. I got proofs at my house. Just go look. I'm telling them I'm under a home invasion, right? That's what I'm telling at the ER. The nurse Cresswell is documenting me saying, go look, there's proof at my house. And the proof got stolen, right? I made videos about that. ER, Rosa Rodriguez is in the room when I'm telling them, sirens are going off, alarms are going off, burglar alarms going off in my attic over and over again. But Rosie Rodriguez says, but he said he was locking up for a night, knocked his gun over, shot himself. That's what I'm saying. The bold-faced lies Rosie Rodriguez was telling, and she's still a cop. Okay, here, right off the bat, I'll show you something else. Here, Detective Rosie Rodriguez climbed in my truck at the 7-Eleven when I got up there, but then said she wasn't there. And April Chandler lied and said that she was, okay? I got this from the police reports, okay? Now I know who climbed in my truck at the 7-Eleven. And actually, when she climbed in my truck at the 7-Eleven after I'd been shot, I was relieved. You know, I mean, I didn't know that she was the lifelong friend of my ex-wife. You know, I didn't find that out for another 2 years. I thought the cavalry was there. You know, I wasn't even suspecting police corruption at all, you know. But here I'd just been shot, and I'm there, and Rosie climbs in my truck, and I'm telling her, finally, I just thought it was incompetence. I had I didn't even consider the possibility that police were involved in these crimes, and they were, okay. Officer Chandler, I saw it on the police report. She said on Saturday, January 28th, I was dispatched, reference gunshot, rival contacted a male, Buddy Webb. Hey, Buddy was sitting in the driver's seat with his foot propped up. Dash wrapped in a sweatshirt. Buddy was yelling for somebody to help him. When I was trying to talk to him, I had to assure him that he was on the way while applying pressure to his wound on his foot. That's a bold-faced lie. It was Rosie Rodriguez that was in my truck at the 7-Eleven and providing first aid. Like I said, one of them is a Hispanic, the other's a blonde. I didn't even know who April Chandler was at that time. But I knew who Rosie Rodriguez was. She introduced herself when she climbed in my truck at the 7-Eleven. But then here, Rosie says, I was the on-call detective. I contacted Chandler at the hospital in regards to the gunshot wound. She said she had been advised to 7-Eleven. So they both got together and lied again, okay? I don't want to say that. Not only were they seen planting that stolen cell phone, too. You remember that. But here they lied about the meet me at the 7-Eleven. Okay, here's another one I usually show. What this is I had the first surgery, and then they come back. We're going to do a second surgery, and then they wanted me to agree to letting them cut off my leg. Okay, they wanted to do a below the knee amputation, and because of clues from my dad that something fishy was going on, I kept saying no. And so I went back to the medical records, and I documented there was like 10 different times over and over and over and over and over and over. I offered a BKA, a below the knee amputation. We had further discussion regarding wound care versus BKA. He will consider BKA over and over. These doctors, they tried so hard to cut my leg off. They wanted to cut the evidence off of what they'd done to me. Now we know they had faked x-rays. They took the x-rays to somebody else, put my name on them. That guy's missing his heel bone. They cut my heel bone off. I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, dismembered at the hospital. And then they were going, oh, we need to cut that leg off. Nobody ever needs to see what we did to him. It's monstrous, right? It's just evil to the core, okay? But one of the many people that mentions amputation was Rosie Rodriguez on the police reports, okay? That's where she said on 2/1/12, that was the second entry. I contacted Buddy at the hospital. Buddy had surgery and his foot was not amputated. And I think that was really important. The reason that she documented that is because she wanted that foot amputated, because my foot would prove I wasn't shot with my gun, and we prove I wasn't shot with my gun. That means I'm shot with another gun. That means somebody else shot me, and it makes this a capital attempted murder. And that's where we're at, folks. I want to show you one other thing on the consent to search form. That's where she come to the hospital on February 1st, 3 days later. And I was at the hospital. I've been there for 3 days, right? And I'm waiting for them to come here. I've got a list of a little map drawn. I'm showing where the maybe possible entries, locations to my house. I'm ready for them to start this investigation. Why did you wait 3 days? I didn't know they'd already been in my home staging the crime scene, right? And they didn't know that they got caught on camera. That's really what happened, okay? So here she has me sign this consent to search form dated February 1st, 2012, okay? But what I saw here, and I'm going to show you, that consent to search form was being withheld, and it wasn't submitted into evidence until June 25th, 2012. Okay, so she got it in February. That's when my house, but she was never going to submit it, but they got caught on camera. That's what happened. Okay, and this thing was going to disappear. Okay, but then they got caught on camera with them pictures, and she had to turn it in 5 months late, basically. And that's what I'm showing is that and then also she got caught with that camera in her hand, so she had to submit them CD photos 5 months later. The victim statement, okay? Here's the consent to search form, okay? And then the 2 hand drawings that I'd drawn just to show them where I thought maybe the tunnel entrance was to my house, okay? So I want to show you that where she was withholding the consent to search form 5 months. Right after this happened, she personally closes the case herself, okay? So then, as I said earlier, 22 months after the murder attempt, I get filed with an absurd protective order. Okay, Rosie Rodriguez is subpoenaed to testify. Okay, a lot of interesting information come out in the court case, documented on the transcript. Here, right off the bat, this was really amazing. Before court, my attorney notices that Rosie Rodriguez is sitting over there close to the ex-wife, and they're all buddy-buddy. And remember, the ex-wife is now alleged to be involved in the shooting by her former boyfriend. He actually posted on Facebook in 2020 that he overheard her planning my murder with her corrupt police friends. I've got a print screen showing that. But what come out in court was my attorney asked Rosie in court, says, "Do y'all know each other? Ain't that weird? Do y'all know each other?" And all of a sudden it says, "Oh yeah, I've known her. I went to school with her, I guess since elementary and junior high." And I'm like, wow. The one that crawled in my truck at the 7-Eleven minutes after I'm shot, the one that's told all these lies, the one that planted my stolen cell phone, she was lifelong friends with my ex-wife, the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. That comes out in court. They're buddies. And it also come out in court, they were in communications during that time. Okay. And, is there any record? No, no. And so here's another lie that come out in court, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, okay? And this is a big one because this got spread all over to millions of people. Rosie testifies there was a tripwire that went across from one wall, from the south wall to the north wall, and was connected to the shotgun, okay? This was what she testified in court. This is what I call the tripwire lie, okay? And so my attorney gets up there, we ask her, there's no tripwire in evidence, okay? She says there's tripwire. Out of the 11 police there, remember 6 of the names are missing from the police report, but out of 11 police there, none of the other police mention a tripwire, okay? Furthermore, the crime scene investigator that picked up my shotgun, picked up my shotgun in the house, he don't mention a tripwire. He mentions picking up my shotgun though, but don't mention any tripwire, okay? And then, more than that, absolute proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. Multiple proofs, there was like the size of pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 sizes different than what was in my gun. Lisa Rogers stated I was shot with a .45 handgun. Doctor said he removed a large amount of plastic in my foot, which wouldn't be there if I was shot with a shotgun, And then a big part was the shotgun shells. There was no empty shotgun shell that was checked into evidence by the CSI, and he's the one that picked up my shotgun, checked in the live shells that were in my gun. And anybody knows anything about them pump shotguns, that the empty shell was still in the gun. He would have to take the empty shell out before he checked out the live shells, and he checked in the live shells. The whole point of this is I wasn't shot with my gun, but Rosie Rodriguez testified under sworn testimony. This is aggravated felony perjury. And remember, I got a lifetime protective order, took away my right to own guns for life, smeared my name. This is a bold-faced lie, tripwire lie by Rosie Rodriguez. Very easy to prove. Here's another big thing, okay? This is in court. Rosie Rodriguez testified that I was delusional, as did the ex-wife. Both of them testified that I was delusional. Well, 4 months before the murder attempt, me and the ex-wife made a recording, a free will recording, okay? And I'm reminding her here at the top, and I've got a video on this called Follow the Money. And I'm reminding her where she stuck her finger in my chest, and you're going to pay me $1,800, $1,200 a month, or I'm going to lie about everything that I've seen and tell everybody that you're crazy, right? And then she says, I made a mistake, okay? So she admitted to extortion. She was trying to extort $1,800 a month from me over the crimes of the house. she's wanting me to pay for her rent for the rest of her life because of the crimes. And the threat was if I didn't pay the money, she was going to tell everybody I was crazy. And then when I called her on it, she said, I made a mistake. I said, you're the only one going to make money off this house. I made a mistake. Okay. And then she says, the truth of the matter is Greg told me to do it. Okay. So Greg is the one that told her. So she didn't deny trying to extort money from me. But the big thing, the extortion threat was if I didn't pay the money, she's going to call me crazy. 22 months later, she goes into court under sworn testimony and calls me crazy along with her dirty cop friend, Rosie Rodriguez. I just want to put that out there. I mean, I got that recording out there. You can hear it. She should have been arrested for extortion. The ex-wife, okay? Here's another one here. This is from the courtroom testimony. And basically what it's showing here is Detective Rodriguez testifies that she called the ex-wife. Okay, this come under sworn testimony in the court. Okay, she says she called the ex-wife after I was shot. Okay, remember we were separated at the time I had been shot. Okay, but the ex-wife testified, same court hearing. Okay, that my daughter Jennifer had called her and asked her to call Detective Rosie Rodriguez. Okay, and so one of these are lying, either the ex-wife or Rosie. But what you can see here is they don't have their story together. And somewhere in this mix is my daughter Jennifer. Okay, between Detective Rosie Rodriguez, the ex-wife, and Jennifer, and they don't have the documented one of them's lying. And then I want to show you here the last thing I got on this. This was March 2020, and I got this message on Facebook. I met your favorite person today, and I said, I don't know who that is. I have many enemies. Who did you meet? Says you don't like her, haha. Rosie Rodriguez. I said, oh, the dirty cop. I wonder how many cold-blooded murders she's been involved in now, right? And then so she tells me, she says, there was an employee at the corporate Verizon store that emailed private photos of me from a phone when we got new phones. I said, and I'm speaking about Rosie, and I said, she has brought shame to all good law enforcement that don't help murder good people for profit and embarrass the state of Texas. I'm talking about Rosie Rodriguez, and she says, I don't know, but I just let you know. And then just more recently, there was a case. It was I think a child molestation case, and a friend of mine sat on the jury of that case. The guy got life in prison for it, and she told me that Rosie Rodriguez was the investigating detective, and she was saying she's saying it bothered me because they didn't investigate anybody else, and there wasn't no evidence saying that he had done it. It was just her word against his word, and Rosie Rodriguez was the cop that investigated, and I'm thinking, man, this is a lying, dirty cop right there, and I got all the proof in the world, and she's still a cop. There's no telling how many people she's done this to. It's Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.